Thank you, Shamsa. I'm not sure whether it's going to be insightful or not, but I think let's try it out anyway. Good morning, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to everyone. It's really nice to see a pretty full hall today, and especially many of you are, almost all of you are part of the extended family of NDRMF. And so it's really nice to see and to have you here for today and tomorrow, and just to share something which we have been doing in the last few months within NDRMF, and most importantly, to hear your views, to seek your inputs, and then see how we can take your views, your inputs back into our system, and try to refine and improve the processes. Although today's workshop is focus on the accreditation, and tomorrow is for the project development. But this is the purpose is slightly more elaborated and more extended, I must say that. We, during the course of the day today and tomorrow, you'll be hearing a lot about what we have been doing, how we have been trying to refine our processes, define our systems, and also the kind of different kind of interventions and the projects we want to take forward within NDRMF. Now, something you must have noticed in the last few months, we've been actually running quite a robust campaign in terms of redefining, repurposing NDRMF. The goal of that exercise or that campaign has been what we have learned from our previous last 4 or 5 years of our operational history, and some of the remarkable work which we have undertaken, and many of you as organizations, as institutions, have been our extended support, kind of an extended arm in terms of the implementation of those projects in some of the very remote, very challenging regions of Pakistan. So, that's a good legacy to stand on, to take it forward. So we have done a lot of soul searching, we've done a lot of brainstorming within NDRMF at different levels, at the staff level, at the strategic level, as well as at the board level as well. And the kind of directions or the kind of instructions which we are receiving is that NDRMF has to play a much bigger, much bolder, and much smarter role. And that's what we have been very specifically and very explicitly have been advised to do so. Now, what does that mean in practical terms? It basically means to redefine the organization almost entirely from top to bottom. And so this is a one small step, one small kind of indicators towards that direction, but at the same time there's a number of other initiatives which are being undertaken within NDRMF, and we would like to share some of those with you. We'd like to seek your inputs on that, and we will be having a lot more interactions and a lot more sessions in the coming days, weeks, and the months. And that is a part of an exercise, part of our intention. We want to learn from you, and we want to basically see that and calibrate ourselves whether our thinking is aligned with your thinking. And if there is any kind of gulf or any kind of there's a gap, then we want to fill that gap. Because when we see the repurposing or redefining of the goal of NDRMF, that is basically driven the kind of challenges which Pakistan is facing in the climate change, in the disaster risk management, disaster risk reduction areas. And the work which we have done, and you have been part of it, you know a lot more than myself at least, the contributions you have made. So that work has been important, but what is required to do in Pakistan is a lot more. It's a lot more kind of a structural kind of a work which is needed, both in terms of the physical, the work, which basically means setting up and constructing the small dams or the flood protection measures, setting up early warning system in different regions of the country, but at the same time to addressing some of those chronic and deep-rooted and slow onset kind of disasters like drought, like nutrition, malnutrition, which is so deeply integrated in many regions of Pakistan. Similarly, climate change is bringing another dimension to it. What we are hearing, both nationally as well, but largely driven from international drivers, is that the climate change is the kind of a threat, is a kind of a menace which Pakistan is facing, and in the coming decades it's going to be faced even more robustly, even more critically and seriously. So in the last few months, the kind of exercise which we have done is, where are we placed as NDRMF? What kind of role we have been playing historically in the last 4, 5, 6 years of our operational history? And then at the same time, as an institutional value, what role should we be playing? And having done that, we came up with few kind of a big kind of a ticket items which are now incorporated in our draft business strategy, which is being prepared, and it is still in the draft format. You'll be hearing about it from different presentations during the day as well, and we'll be sharing some of the controls of it as well. There might be a few copies around lying on the tables as well, which you might want to just kind of skim through and see that whether we are on the right path or we're not on the right path. But I just want to take an opportunity just to give you a very kind of a high-level brief overview of it. So, given the challenges which Pakistan, of course, is facing, we see that, and we believe that disasters like floods are going to remain a very critical element of our work. So we call it as part of our interventions or part of our work as a DRR work, disaster risk reduction work, and which encompass flood protections in a very heavy-handedly. So that, of course, is going to remain one major part of our work, and in that context, we are going to be very much dependent on your expertise, and especially your the assets and the network which you have on the ground with the communities in some of the remotest areas of the work, the remotest areas of Pakistan. We believe that we just cannot extend ourselves to that level, and we do not intend to extend ourselves to that level as well. So a big promise or the big kind of philosophy of redefinition or repurposing of NDRMF is, while we are strengthening ourselves, while we are extending ourselves in several areas, we are going to be limiting ourselves in some areas. So we'll be dragging our feet, we'll be kind of see that where others can do this work, the part of the work much better than us. And I personally believe, and many of my staff actually believe, that being a fund, we have the competitive advantages in terms of doing the fund management work, mobilizing resources, and then providing this technical resources, the technical hand-holding in terms of the designing of different interventions and different projects, and then letting the others, institutions and entities like yourself, to go out and start implementing those. And we actually have a very high level, a very remote kind of a support and or a kind of an oversight, which actually we can undertake from a distance. So in our previous cycle of the projects, we have been doing all this, but somehow we might have actually overstepped a little bit in terms of the implementations. So we got ourselves into the implementation with all the good intentions that we wanted to do the projects, complete them in a timely manner, and then making sure that the quality and everything else was adhered and complied with. But that's a one particular area, and that's one certain area where we'll be dragging our feet back, and we'll be relying even more heavily, even more on your expertise. And that's why actually a major part of our new business strategy is that if we want to bring ourselves back from that area, we have this moral responsibility to strengthen your institutional capacities and strengthen your areas in those particular functions as well. So the capacity building is one cross-cutting component of our new business strategy. And today's workshop is one of those exercises where we want to actually provide you that kind of a support, and you are going to be seeing a lot more aspects of the capacity building actually coming through from our side towards you. It can be in a workshop mode, it can be providing you different kind of a documentation or instruments or tools or templates, or we actually do engage and we do apply some of the more kind of technological oriented tools and the means to reach out to you and to provide you the information and the knowledge which we are trying to embark ourselves on. So in the coming days and the coming weeks, we'll be communicating a lot through different means. We'll be bringing you together in rooms like this, maybe in different parts of the country. But at the same time, I would really like to encourage you that you do make use of our social media, our other channels as well. We have a YouTube channel, we have a website which is extremely informative, and although the website was very recently launched, but we are going through very soon actually we're going through a kind of an overview of the website and actually have it more knowledge oriented and more information oriented as well. So what we want to do is, the underlying kind of objective out there is that we want to actually create that community of practitioners, which you people already are, but we want to actually strengthen your capacities and want to strengthen your abilities to do so as well. So this is a responsibility, this is a kind of a function which we have taken up on ourselves. And what we would like to do is we would like to seek your support, and would like to basically request you to be open and be engaged with us and help us out, which we can actually grow together. So that's one particular aspect of the new work which we are undertaking. The other one is the climate change and climate finance. So those two areas which have evolved quite a lot internationally, and we hear a lot about them in Pakistan as well. Everyone says that these are the new areas. To be honest, they are not. I have built my entire career on climate finance. I started working in climate finance in 1999. So that's how new it is, and I've actually grown my hair from pitch black to almost gray now, and most of them lost anyway. So I think this is not exactly a new area, but Pakistan is being experimented, is being actually taken up slightly late, and we again seeing kind of a knowledge gap in terms of the understanding, in terms of the different financial instruments which have been experimented in climate finance, and that again is one particular area where we would like to build your capacity and your institutional capacity, your individual's capacity as well, and we would like you to incorporate the different financial instruments into your project design and the financial engineering of the different projects as well. I think one particular area, not to my knowledge actually, I've done some research on it. In Pakistan, the financial engineering of the projects, and that's also with the NDRMF as well. The financial engineering of the projects is always extremely simple. Most of the time I would say that's oversimplistic. Now simplicity is always good, and some projects actually demand like this. But then the whole dynamic is actually changing internationally, regionally, as well as nationally as well. What we know that the public finance is becoming scarce. It's not readily available. Even international grant financing is not readily available as well. But there are new instruments which are available, but then we do not have the capacities or the expertise to actually apply and employ those new financial instruments into financial engineering of it. I haven't come across in Pakistan any adaptation project or even a DRR project which actually have different modes of the financial engineering or the financial instrument. I haven't come across with a single project which basically has a loan component, grant component, equity component, guarantee component, and similarly the number of other instruments as well, which are quite successfully being experimented and being applied in many parts of the world. So those are the areas which are evolving, and those are the areas which we haven't mustered the courage to look into those and then to come up with the project ideas and come up with the different types of interventions which basically by themselves, by the nature of them, they do justify for these different financial instruments. So this is one area, and this is the one extremely essential part of our new business strategy which we want to apply and we want to actually experiment. At the same time, we want to build the capacity of our partner organizations to actually come up with those kind of different financial instruments and apply them in a one single project, in a one single intervention, and then see that how it actually facilitate the implementation of the project. And I know that it can happen. I have a personal experience of actually designing those projects, and this is something which we want to do it actually here, and will be very much depending on very much relying on your support in that area. Now, the third area on which we are going to be working is actually slightly out of our comfort zone, and that is kind of extending our institutional support or institutionalizing the humanitarian work or the relief, recovery, rehabilitation, reconstruction kind of work as well. And once again, there's a whole thought process behind it. And being a DRR fund or disaster reduction fund, one can very easily question about it, whether we should be doing it or not, because this is not our mandate. And we have actually looked into it against our article of association, our mandate. It doesn't really bar us, but at the same time, I think what motivated us is that there is again the gap in it. And we have seen in 2022 flood, soon after the floods, there was a lack of coordination, and this is the feedback which actually we received from a lot of international players as well, who wanted to come forward and they wanted to actually support Pakistan and the communities in Sindh and Balochistan, but they were not really sure that which organization, which particular government entity to reach out and how we can actually coordinate the efforts. So we do not want to go into the relief efforts, but we want to actually bring some of the international best practices and want to bring some kind of institutional knowledge and support the government as well as non-government entities how to do it slightly better. I think this is a very high-level goal there as well. Now, I meet many of you in our personal spaces, individual basis, and we do actually come across with each other, and we do share our notes, and we do actually kind of chat and share our experiences with each other as well. Now, there is one common theme which actually I slightly kind of share with many of you, especially those organizations who have an incredible amount of expertise in humanitarian work, and that's absolutely necessary, absolutely needed in Pakistan. So my little kind of a complaining mode kind of a discussion with all of you have always been is that yes, that's absolutely necessary, you've been doing a great job, but maybe it's a time to graduate yourself, it's a time to elevate yourself and lift yourself up from pure humanitarian work, where you have already established your expertise and your institutional comparative advantages, to bring to yourself more towards risk reduction, risk management, those areas as well. Because if we do not do this in a collective manner, what it means is we always in this vicious circle of, every time there's a disaster and we start running around it, and we do actually provide this immediate relief and recovery, and then we take it onward to the rehabilitation and reconstruction work, and then we come back to our drawing boards, our comfort zones, and then we wait for the next disaster to come, and that's where we do become actually relevant once again. It's a very crude way of kind of presenting this whole situation, but since we all are colleagues, and I think it's good to have that kind of a candid and open discussion. So this has been a kind of a concern more at an institutional level within NDRMF, but at a personal level for me as well. That okay, how to break this vicious cycle? How to actually look into the more broad-term basis as well as on a long-term basis, because we know this from literature, we know from the best practices from internationally as well. This is not the best way. Yes, when a disaster is knocking at your door, it hits. Everyone has to run and everyone has to do whatever they need to do, and we actually did that as well as NDRMF as well. But at the same time, it shouldn't really losing the focus that how to address these kind of challenges on a long-term basis. Flood is part of this region. We might not be able to eliminate floods forever, but at least we can better prepare ourselves. So that's the third component of it, where we actually want to provide the support, a more kind of institutionalized support to the different agencies within the government as well as in the non-government sector. So we are very heavily engaged with the NDMAs and the PDMAs, and we want to institutionalize their practices as well. But then we all know that they are dependent on your work, on your assets, on your networks on the ground with the communities as well. So that's why you are part of this. This exercise as well. And what we would like to do is that keep your humanitarian work very tightly intact, and at the same time do allocate some kind of a resources in terms of looking long term, looking more strategic, and looking more into the DRR, risk reduction, risk management kind of areas as well, because that is very much needed in Pakistan, and this is a kind of another task which we are taking upon ourselves. Now the fourth pillar of our business strategy is the knowledge creation. And that again is I would say that a huge knowledge gap in Pakistan, and we see that a lot of resources actually goes into development work as well as disaster risk reduction work, but that the decision making is not entirely focused. It's not really knowledge based or database or scientifically driven. It is actually decided on so many different parameters, and many times actually those parameters are right, but having the kind of constant resources, I think we all have that kind of a responsibility that, okay, is it the best value for the money, for the investment which we are doing? And I think this can only be judged, it can only be evaluated if this is measured against some kind of a benchmark, a baseline or some kind of a benchmark. So that benchmark or the information or the knowledge for that benchmark has been actually missing. And this is not only to us, it's not only to you, but this actually any other organization within the government as well. There's a PS, Public Sector Development Program. There's a huge budget. I think on average about 8 to 1200 billion rupees are spent every year. And that's quite an incredible amount of money. And even the decisions are not really scientifically driven or scientifically based as well. You know, if they are building some community centers somewhere, or they're building some school somewhere, or hospital somewhere, it's not really looked into it that, okay, what is the climate change consideration for that? Or is it in what kind of a water channels or not? Or when was the last disaster, when was the last flood actually passed this kind of a region? What is the accessibility for the people? You know, how many population or what kind of a communities this is going to be served? Do we need to have a very basic kind of a health unit here, or we need to have a more kind of elaborated or sophisticated, depending on the demographic situation of the communities around that?